Rubio.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Let me just say, I mean, the numbers are starting at 26.3 billion of these type of calls in 2018. It feels like at least 5% of them were to me, I got to tell you, because look, just in the last 6 months, I just wrote some things I remember. This robot voice telling me I'm going to jail. I forgot who I owed money to in that one. There was another one saying they had stolen my Social Security at the border. These are actually voicemails that they leave. You know, like they stole somebody's Social Security number at the border. We need you to call us right away. Anything. Some are like in a foreign language, like a recorded statement. So I don't know what those are about. But the point being, I think I counted last night. I have 106 or 86. I forgot that blocked. You know, every time we get one of these calls, you just put it on your block list. I have more block numbers than I have contacts at this point, but they keep moving on these things and the like. So it's overwhelming. By the way, one part of this too is you get afraid you can't answer your phone for legitimate calls anymore, right? So like you pick it up, if you don't recognize it, and just because it says John Smith, it's not John Smith, you know. So they figured out a way to spoof it so it's your local area code. But the purpose of this hearing in particular, I want to focus on two parts. First, Ms. Colon, because being in the Miramar office, sort of between Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade, huge concentration of elderly citizens, and particularly, in addition to that, a huge number of elderly citizens who perhaps are not fully proficient in English, making them, I think, even more vulnerable to sort of the fear. And on top of everything else, you know, senior citizens have good credit ratings, have complied with the law. The last thing they want to do is be outside of it, and someone's calling them, telling you're going to, unless you pay us, you know, something bad's going to happen to you. I think you've touched on it, and maybe I missed it before I came in, but this really seems to me like something that calls for a much broader, with industry participation, public awareness, public service campaign that we've led on multiple other efforts. Everybody knows now you don't leave an animal in a locked car with the windows up, or even with the windows down for that matter, in the middle of summer, or at any point for that matter. People now know you shouldn't be eating foods that the package has been tampered with. You name it, on numerous occasions, it's sudden infant death syndrome. I mean, this nation has undertaken an effort to inform people about the dangers and the types of dangers that lie out there. And I guess it's for everybody, but most certainly knowing the intricacies of Florida, it just seems to me like this is something that, beyond just the elderly population, oftentimes the people who spot this are their children or their caregivers. And a lot of times, the other thing I've come across is that when someone falls victim, they realize it and there's shame associated with it, so they don't want to tell anybody about it. But that's why I think it's so important that we have a broad sort of public awareness campaign that includes everyone from retailers and others. You know, if an elderly person shows up at your point of sale and is buying, I don't know what this year's scam is. It used to be, what was it, iTunes or cards? I mean, that's suspicious, you know. You're buying 100 iTunes cards or something, all the way to their caregivers, their children, and themselves. I really, really think that this is the kind of issue that really calls for a much broader public awareness campaign. Everyone knows these calls are coming in. I still am shocked at how many well-informed individuals fall for this, for whatever reason. So I don't know if that's something any of you have had experience with, or do you think we're doing enough to inform people? Because I got to tell you, most people know these calls are annoying. I'm not sure how many people know that the risk of the scam end of it.
Senator, education is key. Prevention, you prevent a crime, it's not going to be enticing for the scammers. So prevention is key, education as well. Legislation, it is a holistic approach. Educating the elderly, educating society does help. We've brought this issue to light today. And you can tell word of mouth. You go, you visit your parents, you visit your grandparents, the caregivers. It has made impact. And I think it's important to continue because scammers change their tactics. Technology evolves, and they will evolve with the times as well. So it's a continuous effort. And PSAs are very powerful. I think that also a lot of the people who have been victimized do not want to come forth because it does not seek a certain structure. It happens, some of the elderly, when we've sat with them during our enforcement operations and we speak to witnesses and victims, they come forth and say, this was my last opportunity to leave something to my family. So it's not a matter of what their education, it's our responsibility, and it's their opportunity to leave something behind. So education is key to prevent.
Senator, if I might, I just
I'm all for education campaigns, and I think doing it through caregivers and through places like where my parents live, continuing care facilities, those are all great places to do this, and I know it's happening, and I applaud it. I'll just tell you, if I were a robocaller, down the road, I'm going to call you, I'm going to say, hi, I'm from the IRS. I know you've heard our announcements that we don't collect, we don't make phone calls, and we don't collect money via gift cards. But we've got a new program, and that's changed. And you say that to 1 million people, a few of them are going to be compelled to believe it. You're going to sound so credible. It was my department that put that ad on television. And that was 2 years ago when we produced it. But we have a new program thanks to new technology. And it's actually cheaper for you now to deal with us over the phone and to pay your tax debts via this new technology.
And I'm out of time, but just to say that I 100% agree that we can tell people not to leave sugar out because the ants are going to come, and like in your example, but you still got to go after the ant source. Which I ran out of time, but I do think it's outside the jurisdiction of this committee, but the idea that one of the points you made is that there are very few legitimate entities that need the ability to make millions of calls per day, have a valid reason for using different calling numbers, and it makes no sense when they're outside of a country and their only identifier is a Gmail. I think that's really worth exploring further because I think that's a great point.